Good afternoon, and welcome to our Thursday webinar. Today we have what I consider a very interesting topic, and that is one um, about the new Secure Act, what businesses need to know. If you have not r- looked at your screen yet, you should have the availability to pull a handout from this um, screen, what employers need to know about the Secure Act. So there is a handout. However, you will be sent a copy of this presentation as a recording following this presentation. My name is Kathy Graham, and I'm Senior Vice President of HR Services at PayEntry, and I want to welcome you today. Thank you for spending time with us. This is a brief webinar, as are all of our webinars. We know that you have too much to do to sit around and watch webinars all day, so we'll try to put it in a nutshell and give it to you. So today, we're going to look at the agenda. What is the Secure Act? What are the major provisions of the Act? What are the other provisions and changes that are not the major pieces of it, but you should be concerned with? And then what should companies do right now? Let's start out by talking about what it is. The Secure Act stands for Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement. It was effective January the 1st of 2020. It was signed into law in early December by President Trump. And it is the largest reform piece or piece of legislation to impact the economy since 2006. And that was the Pension Protection Act. So it's been 14 years since we've had any major input from legislation or any changes. This was actually a bipartisan effort, and we know that there aren't many of those, but it was to make retirement savings more accessible for those who don't have access or who are less advantaged. There are actually 29 new provisions, and we're not going to go over all of those today, but just the highlights of the most important for employers. So the Secure Act tweaks a number of rules that are related to tax advantage retirement accounts. We're talking about 401ks, 403bs, other types of retirement plans that you have at your company. And here's some of the things that it will do. It will make it easier for small businesses to set up 401ks by increasing the cap under which they can automatically enroll workers in what we call safe harbor retirement plans. That'll go from 10% of wages up to 15% of wages. So safe harbor, let me just talk about a couple of things. A safe harbor plan is one that does not require any non-discrimination testing. So your highly compensated can put in what they want, and your non-highly compensated people can put in what they want. And there doesn't have to be a test to prove that what's being done is fair. But it does have a certain plan design to it. And if you're interested in more of what the plan designs are, I can certainly get you that information. But basically, employers set it up so that there's an automatic contribution and there's a match. So there are different plan design issues there that you have to have in order to be called a safe harbor plan. And in this, an auto enrollment, so automatically enrolling workers, is something that's been around since the early 2000s, I think. It's where you sign people up automatically when they start to work. After their waiting period, they go into the plan. They don't have to elect in, but they do have to opt out if they don't want to. That's a very good way to get a higher participation level in your plan if you do have to test. And if you want more information on that, I'll be happy to talk with you about it. The Secure Act does provide a maximum tax credit of $500 a year to employers who create a 401k plan or a simple IRA plan with auto enrollment in it. And this act does increase the business tax credit for plan startup from the current cap of $500 to up to $5,000 in some instances. So you can get a tax credit for setting up one of these plans. So it does help smaller employers afford to do this. The new act enables businesses to sign up part-time employees who work either 1,000 hours throughout the year or have 3 consecutive years with 500 hours of service. So that's very new. We've always had 1,000 hours and a year of employment. Um, that is was the current standard, and now that's changed. This law also encourages plan sponsors, those are employers, to include annuities as an option in their plans by reducing the liability on those plan sponsors if the insurer cannot meet its financial obligations. This annuity would allow a lifetime payout after they retire, and a number of companies don't offer that right now because the company holds the responsibility for whether or not that insurance company, which is basically where an annuity comes from, that insurance company defaults on their commitment. It's rare, but it does still happen. The new Secure Act does allow the use of tax-advantaged 529 accounts, and those are for qualified um, um, student, basically people set 529 plans up to pay for college for their kids. This would allow a person to take out up to $10,000 annually from a 529 account to pay for qualified student loan repayments. That's a big deal because it is tax-free. And it permits penalty-free withdrawals of $5,000 from 401k accounts to defray the costs or offset the costs of having or adopting a child, which is amazing. Um, but that's pretty far-reaching. Another major provision of the Secure Act is that it widens access to multiple employer plans for small businesses. They no longer have, well, let's just say prior to this act coming out, if you wanted to be in a multiple employer plan to control your costs or maybe share the risks with other employers, you would have to be in the same industry. For example, banking, credit unions, payroll companies, whatever industry that you were in, everyone in that group would have to be from the same type of organization. Under the Secure Act, employers no longer have to share those common characteristics. And that is a very big deal. One other key change in the new bill is paying for all of this because this is, from a tax perspective, there are some gives here. Um, and the takeaway is that it does cost something, but this act removes a provision known as the stretch IRA, which has allowed non-spouses that inherit retirement accounts to stretch out disbursements over their lifetimes. The new rules will require full payout within 10 years of the death of the original account holder. And that raises an estimated 15.7 billion dollars in additional tax revenue. So that's how we're paying for some of this. Another good thing too is that there is a change in the required minimum distribution rules. Prior to the Secure Act, the government required individuals with a defined contribution, that's a 401k, or a defined benefit plan, which is a pension plan, to start taking their distributions no later than April the 1st of the year after they turn 70 and a half. Some people are working past 70 today. I'm a prime example of that. I will be 70 next year, and I plan to work probably till I'm about 75 or 80, um, unless it just goes south on me. But I am looking at, sticking around for a while, and a lot of people are because people live longer today. They're healthier, they're more active. The Secure Act raises that age for minimum distributions to age 72. And the new age limit does not apply to individuals who turned 70 and a half prior to the end of 2019. The law also eliminates the maximum age for which traditional IRA contributions, which was previously capped at 70.5 years old. So when you were 70 and a half, you could not put any more money in an IRA. Well, now you can do it as long as you want to. So those are pretty big deals in the retirement world. If you're working longer, you want to keep saving longer, you can do that now. There's also an impact on student debt in this. The Secure Act, and when I mentioned this earlier, will allow people to withdraw up to $10,000 during their lifetime from their 529 plans tax-free in order to pay off their student loan debt. Originally, these 529 plans were strictly for post-secondary education expenses. That's been expanded now to include K through grade 12 expenses. So you can use your 529 plan for kindergarten, payment of that, or expenses for children who are now learning at home. Not all states may allow the student loan benefit to come out tax-free at the state level, so that is something that you need to check in your state. But from a federal perspective, this money can be taken out of the 529 plan tax exempt. So the bottom line is whether the Secure Act ends up being a game changer or not remains to be seen because it just started in January. But one thing is really clear in all of this. It's a bipartisan effort, which makes it, you realize that the current rules aren't allowing nearly enough Americans to put away the amount of money that they'll need for a secure requirement. And both parties in Congress realize that. So that's why there was bipartisan effort on this last year. What should you do as an employer right now? Well, you can't just start using these new rules. First of all, talk to your plan advisor and your management team and kind of outline, pick and choose the changes that you want to make and those you don't, or things that you want to add to your plan. You need to restate or amend your plan document and your summary plan description. Because remember, you always have to follow the rules in your current plan document. You can't just start to do things differently. You have to amend or restate your plan. A lot of companies get into really hot water when they go outside of the plan document that they have right now and start maybe allowing loans from the plan. Let's say, for example, when the plan document doesn't allow that. So make sure you always follow the rules in your current plan document. Okay, there is a box for questions on here. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask about this? You know, you can call me afterwards, or I can answer your questions now. Was a very quick presentation. I realized that, and with a lot of information. But remember, you can download the handout here, which will come to you in PDF format in the box on your screen, and you will get this recording. The recordings for all of our other webinars that we've done in the past 2 years since I've been here are posted on our website at www.payentry.com, and you can access them at any time. And if there is a topic you'd like for us to cover in a webinar on one Thursday, please email me and I will make sure we put that on the list of things to talk about. Again, here's my contact information. Somewhere, there it is. Easiest way to get me is through my email address, and I will get back to you shortly. But if we don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and end our program for today. Please tune in every Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the topic of the day. You should get another email at the first of next week about the one that is coming up on Thursday, and I will keep you posted on Mondays and Thursdays about what is coming available. Thanks for attending today and have a great afternoon.